Here we are. I've got about a 11-pound whole packer brisket that I'm going to be cooking on the UDS today. It's just some practice, trying out, just getting the hang of it. I've only cooked one before, so it's a new smoker that we built ourselves, and I'm going to trim this brisket up. And looking at it, there's not a whole lot of a lot of top fat on it that I'm going to take off, because when you're doing this higher heat cook, you don't want to remove too much fat, especially on this underside. I like to leave about a 1/4 inch, but as you can see, I mean, I've got a little bit of thick fat right in this area here that I'll take off, but down here over the flat, I'm going to take off some of this, but I want to leave the majority of it on. I like to say I like to leave a 1/4 inch of it, and it's just to add protection, protect it a little bit from the heat. Most of it will cook off, but some fat on my brisket slices I actually like, because it adds flavor. There's a lot of flavor in this fat. Now, you don't want anything real thick, but this brisket, it doesn't have any discoloration on the sides. I mean, it seems like it has some pretty good fat on it. The meat looks really good. What I did was I bought a case of brisket so I could pick and choose from them, and a few extras that I'm not going to use at the contest I'm going to use just for home practicing. But I'll take the majority of this fat vein out here. I call it the vein. It's the deep fat that's right in between the point and the flat. Sorry about my camera work here. I'm trying to hold and flip at the same time. But there's some on this side also. I'll go in, cut it right in here, cut down in here, and take out the thickest part and separate it. Now, the grain in this brisket is running in this general area here. So what I'll do is I'll come in and I'll square me off a cut line up here to where I'll know to start taking my slices. And the majority of my slices from this brisket, I like to get them from along this middle part where it's generally the thickest, and it doesn't dry out on you as much. Sometimes you'll get areas where it's thinner around the edges here. It can dry out some, and you know that's normal, depending on the brisket. Thickness, that has a lot to do with it. But I'll get to trimming on this one, and I'll show you what it looks like after I get it all trimmed up. All right, here's the brisket after I've trimmed it. You can see I got a pretty good pile of trimmings going here, but I didn't do a whole lot to the top of the brisket where the flat is. There was a little bit of thick fat right in here that just kind of took off and left some of it. I kind of squared the end enough just where I'll know where I want to start making my slices across it going this way. I did go in this fat vein pretty good. You can see I can roll it back now. I took out all the thick fat that was in there, exposed it. I folded it back, but now I can season up in there good. My slices are going to come hopefully from this general area right here if it turns out right. It's the best place to get them from. I took off some of the fat around the point here because I'd like to take it when it gets done at the very end. I will, after a rest period, I'll come in, take my knife, go in right through here, remove the flat, and take the point and start cubing it in about 3/4 inch cubes. And that's how I make my burnt end. So I expose a lot of the meat there. But on this underside, I left a lot of the fat, but it's not real thick. You can see here, it's just a kind of a 1/4 inch layer all the way across it, and that's just going to protect it. I mean, I'll still go ahead and season it and everything on this side, and some of this fat will break down, but I don't want it to dry out on me, and that's why I leave it on. So it's important to do this if you're doing dry heat. When I cook briskets low and slow, I usually trim the majority of the fat off the whole brisket because I don't want any on it. But I've been playing around with it and this high heat method, and the fat's giving it a good flavor and it's protecting it. So we're going to go and see how that does. I'm going to do 2 or 3 more of these before a contest to see if I'm going to switch to this for a contest entry. But so far, I like what I'm seeing.